Hello, cosmetology, barbering, aesthetics, nail tech instructors. My name is Natasha McGraw, and I am the founder of Beauty School Boss. For those of you who do not know what Beauty School Boss is, it is a software as a service company designed by a cosmetology teacher, myself, made for cosmetology teachers like you to help you save time, reduce stress, and boost student engagement. Now, I personally was a cosmetology teacher in the career tech education sector, teaching 11th and 12th grade cosmetology students for 8 years. Out of those 8 years, I was preparing students for Skills USA for all 8 years. I've had them compete at the local, state, and national level in all three competitions of cosmetology, aesthetics, and nails. Now, the barbering competition is a little newer, so I personally do not have any experience having students compete in that competition. Therefore, I ask you, the expert, to please comment any advice that you have for the barbering competition since it is not included in this presentation. Please, you guys, we are all here for each other. I would love for you to participate. Any recommendations and advice that you might have, put in the comments to help everyone out, right? So this, please keep in mind, is from my perspective as an Ohio cosmetology teacher. The different state competitions, they all run very similar to one another. However, they're all slightly different as well. For example, New York, when I went to that competition, they actually had aesthetic, like facial beds, which I was so thrilled to see because at Ohio, we are competing with a basic table setup and normal chairs, like a convention. It's at a convention center. So it's just a normal metal chair that the student's model is sitting at, and she has to do the makeup with the metal chair. So please use your discretion, read your state requirements, go by your state requirements. Now, my advice for students, and I believe this advice would follow through with all of the state competitions. You can let me know if you agree, is to look and act like a professional. I know that your students are getting up really early. Have them pack their makeup bag and their hair stuff. They could do their hair on the bus, and they can do their makeup on the bus, or they can do their hair and makeup when you guys get there if they don't have time to do it in the morning. I know a lot of times they're getting up at 4 a.m. to get there, and I understand. Trust me. I would also recommend, no matter what, they look confident and look like they know what they're doing during the entire competition. If something goes wrong, the worst thing that they can do is look like they're in a panic and frazzled and make it look like something went wrong. Usually these judges are judging, 5 to 10 students. They're not going to pick up anything unless you're giving them some cues of like, something went wrong. They're definitely going to pick up if you're, not following infection control guidelines or something does go wrong, they're going to catch it, but they're definitely going to pay more attention to a student who looks like they did something wrong or they look panicked than ones that are just like going with the flow, keep rolling with it, looking confident, looking like they know what they're doing. And then follow infection control and safety guidelines at all times. I personally believe that 70% or higher of the scoring for skills is on infection control and safety. If they follow those guidelines, it's more about the journey than the destination. Tell your students not to panic if they look around and somebody else's updo and haircut looks better than theirs. Because if your student followed all the correct procedural guidelines and safety and infection control, they could still be scoring a lot higher than the student who might have performed better on the haircut. Drape the chair for the aesthetics competition. There were a lot of students that I would see that didn't drape the chair. It does say that in the guidelines. I would put a facial sheet over the chair. I don't know what else you could use, but feel free to, be creative. I don't believe it tells you specifically what to use. Also, the ergonomics at some of these state competitions is atrocious. It depends if your state competition is at a career center where you can actually use proper ergonomics, where the hair cutting and the mannequins are all set up on tripods and everybody's has facial beds to use. That's great. The Ohio competition is in a convention center. The models for the facial and makeup application have to sit in a metal chair. So I recommend getting a pillow to put on the chair that is infection control, like that you can actually sanitize. And that way the model has a pillow for their head, because it's a good 6-hour competition. And not having anywhere to put your head on a metal chair is very uncomfortable. And my student was the only one that would bring a pillow that you could wipe off and was okay for the infection control part. So I'm going to show you what I used on a future slide here. Make sure for Ohio, the products have to be in the manufacturer's container. Use the packing list that's provided and check it off. There were so many students that would forget things like a power strip. Normally, you don't need a power strip in the school setting, so make sure you're reading the list. There are things on that list that you might not think of that they need, that they actually need. So make sure they're checking that off. And then the fantasy makeup needs to have everything made for the skin. So if you use a stencil, it needs to be made for the skin, not for airbrushing your wall. If you use, pearls or flowers or anything on the face, the adhesive needs to be for use on the skin. So make sure you're using the proper products for that. And then be really creative with your themes. There's nail themes. Instead of just saying sunflowers, maybe have the meanings behind flowers. And like a rose means, a yellow rose means this, a red rose means this. So like having meaning and having it be creative and think outside the box, rather than saying literally, I put a sunflower on the pinky, I put a rose on the ring finger. Like actually think outside the box, because a lot of times these students are reading their themes out loud, and you're going to score higher on the theme if it's more creative and, more unique than everybody else, right? Okay, so first we're going to go over cosmetology. I only have updo pictures, so I apologize. It really doesn't matter to have haircutting pictures because the haircut changes every year. The updos are great because it's creative. Your students have a choice on what they can do. So I do only have examples of updos. I think it looks better if your students are able to color the mannequins. Let them color the mannequins. If they are not able to color the mannequins, that's fine too, but I personally think they look great when they're colored. Now, this is all at a state competition. You're going to see the middle one here is a national, this is at the national competition last year. You can see a huge difference in the creativity and, how unique the hair updos are at the national level than at the state level. If your students can produce something that looks similar to this at the state level, more power to them. That is fabulous. I'm sure they'll win. But the state level stuff is typically, it's not going to be your standard homecoming or bridal updo. Definitely a little bit more creative, a little more unique. However, yeah, this is a great national updo example. Next, we're going to go over some products. I personally love the Bedhead Head Rush Shine Spray. I love the Lock It Down Hairspray by Pureology because it doesn't flake. And it can be used as a working spray. So you can use it just like real light, and it's a real, not as firm of a hold. And then you can put more on for no flake and strong hold. Now, Kenra, I love all of Kenra's pomades, especially for updos. Everything else, heat protector setting spray is a must, obviously. I do not have a favorite. Use whatever you guys have at your school. And if your students can bring wet products whenever they're doing the haircut before they blow dry, bring the wet products if they're allowed. I know every state is different. Next is my favorite competition, aesthetics. I had a student compete in the state aesthetics competition for 7 years in a row. And then in 2018, I had an aesthetics, or I had two students go to nationals for aesthetics. So this is my favorite competition, hands down. Some examples at the state level, you're going to see, full face paint. You're going to see gems. You're going to see flowers. You're going to see half and half. All kinds of different things that you're going to see. Students are super creative in this competition, just like they are with all the competitions. Now, if you look up on Instagram, you're going to see some more ideas. I did find the year that my student went to nationals, the theme was Looney Tunes, which is completely different, which is okay. I think last year it was Baby Doll. You're going to see the different full face paint. A lot of the students will do the whole thing where they have the model shut their eyes and they paint something with their eyes shut. Lots of different, the cartoon stuff. This is my student's model. She did predator versus prey. So she had half of the face with the roadrunner and then the other half of the face with the coyote. And she kind of had like a beautiful twist to it. So it's not traditional like face paint. She kind of used, I really like the route she went with this. It looks really pretty. And it's not solid painting of the full face. So you definitely can think outside the box. These are all the examples. Everybody goes a little different route with it. And it's just a lot of fun. The most important part is that your students have fun and they try their best, right? They're already winners for being at Skills in the first place. Now, the must-have products, the acrylic organizer is going to be number one. This looks so professional and neat. I would get two of these for my students. I think Temu has them, Amazon has them. I couldn't actually find this on Amazon without a hole. Amazon has these with a finger tab that's a hole and it's not a sealed container. So you have to be careful. You want to get the ones that completely close. If there's a hole at the top, that is not following infection control guidelines because technically debris could get in there. So I would purchase two of these. The ones that I found, it might have been at Burmax, I found them. They were a 4-drawer organizer. I would purchase two, one for the makeup and one for the makeup brushes. And she would just set them on the counter. And then make sure your students have palettes. All things need to go on a palette. You can double dip on that palette all day long. However, if you take a makeup brush and put it into an eyeshadow manufacturer's container, when the judge walks by, that judge does not know if you double dipped or if that was a clean brush or any of the things. So scrape the shadow, scrape the bronzer, scrape the powder. Your students are not going to like it, but they need to scrape everything into the palette and double dip off the palette. That is the number one best way for infection control to show the judges that you are 100% following infection control guidelines. And use the gel eyeliner in a container that you can take a spatula and scrape the gel eyeliner out, put it on the palette, and then use an eyeliner brush, and you can double dip with the eyeliner brush on the palette to apply your eyeliner. Next is going to be that pillow I told you about. If your competition is at a convention center or somewhere where your models are going to have a metal standard like school chair, get one of these facial bed pillows. It has a strap on the back that goes over the facial bed. It'll also go over the back of a chair, and you can wipe it off and disinfect it because it's like a fake leather surface that's not porous that you could disinfect. So I would have the student put that on the chair and then drape the chair with a sheet and then, do all the things and set up their table. Also, Ziploc bags. You want to have a gallon Ziploc bag that's labeled trash, and then tape to your table a gallon Ziploc bag that's labeled soiled implements for all your dirty brushes to go in immediately after you use them. And your palettes that are dirty, they can go in the soiled implement bag. You obviously have to have makeup remover wipes and this little tiny trash can. If your state competition does not specify that they have a receptacle for the dirty towels and that they're providing all the towels, have this handy to put your towels in after you use them. It is a $5 trash can on Amazon. I think it was $5.60. And your student could just put it under the facial table or under the table top, and they can dispose of all their dirty towels. There were so many students, because we had to bring our own towels, putting dirty towels on the floor or on the table, and that is going to be a mark against them for infection control. So please bring something your students can put towels in unless it's provided for you. And then this is from Amazon. It's just going to be your disposable applicators for the makeup application and the fantasy makeup application. And it's just great because it's a sealed container. It comes with everything. You don't have to have little baggies for everything. It's just all in one thing. Much easier, saves your student time from going from one little baggie to another. It's all one place. Last thing I'm going to go over, you guys, is the nail competition. Now, the nail competition has changed dramatically since I had students compete. Now you're allowed to use, I think, odor acrylic, where before you couldn't. So I'm not really going to recommend products, but I'm going to show you pictures that I took at the national level in hopes that it will help your students come up with ideas on what they're going to do for their nail theme. Um, Here's some examples of nails at the national level. So we have New York. The middle one is very creative, the sunflowers. And then this is the last slide that I have. Pop culture here is really cool. And then Michael Jackson. I cannot believe that this student was able to get Michael Jackson's portrait on a nail. Very cool, very unique themes, right? That's the one thing I recommended, was having a unique theme. Now, I'm going to end this presentation just asking you all, as experts in this field teaching students, please comment any of your own advice. Let's help each other out. I'm even going to go as far as to show you, this is my contact us page on my website. If you guys scroll all the way down, it's going to have a 1-800 number. That 1-800 number goes directly to my cell phone. Now, please call it if you need help. I was a teacher for 8 years. If you just need advice, please feel free to give me a call and ask my advice. I don't even have as much experience in this field as you do. Some of you guys have, 10, 20, 25 years experience. So please comment in the comments of this post any advice that you have. And I'm going to end this with make sure you guys can email me as well. This info at Beauty School Boss is a great email. You can also email Natasha at beautyschoolboss.com. And then let's help each other out. Like I said, comment in the comments any advice that you have. If you have any advice on the barbering competition, please let us know. And then I just want to tell you guys, I'm so proud of you for being a part of this with your students. You guys are there every day mentoring and guiding your students. You are literally helping the next generation of beauty professionals succeed. And I am just so grateful. Thank you so much. You guys all have a wonderful day. You deserve it. Bye.